Roman Reigns stands as the culmination of decades of WWE's strategy to create a generational talent who not only leads a brand but defines an era. Unlike other stars who were merely the top guy in a given year or two, Roman was architected over time, starting with his time in the Shield and peaking as the Tribal Chief. WWE spared no effort in elevating him, even when fans resisted. He was chosen not only for his look, family lineage, or physical prowess, but because he could be groomed in the WWE system to represent everything the brand stood for. WWE never gave up on him through boos, bad promos, and failed babyface pushes, because they knew they had one last true larger-than-life figure on their hands. No one in the modern roster has received the same level of top-down investment, creative protection, and title dominance. Roman was the final project of Vince McMahon's star system before it transitioned into Triple H's more sports-oriented, faction-focused era. There's a reason his entrance is cinematic, his aura is preserved by limited matches, and his title reign was uninterrupted for years. That style of booking died with the Bloodline saga. Everyone else is either rotated in and out of TV regularly, used to test crowd reactions, or built to coexist with others. Reigns was built to stand alone. In a company now driven by parity booking and shorter attention spans, there is no longer a system in place that supports the construction of another Roman Reigns level character. The machinery that once produced icons like Hogan, Austin, The Rock, Cena, and Reigns has stopped working. WWE has shifted toward building moments, not legacies. That makes Roman the last fully realized product of a system that no longer exists. Part of what made Roman Reigns a unique attraction is his real-life connection to wrestling royalty. As a member of the Anoa'i family, Roman carried the weight of generations of greatness. From the Wild Samoans to Yokozuna, Umaga, and The Rock, his roots were deeply embedded in WWE history. But unlike his predecessors, Roman was not just another member of the lineage. He became the ultimate expression of it. WWE used his family ties as the cornerstone of one of the most intricate storylines in company history. The Bloodline saga wasn't just about factions or titles. It was about tribal identity, loyalty, generational trauma, and dominance. That kind of narrative doesn't exist for any other current star. No other performer has the historical gravity Roman possesses. His background wasn't used as a fun trivia fact. It was interwoven into every promo, every feud, and every decision. He was cast as the head of the table because he truly was, in both kayfabe and reality. The emotional layers to his character, the tension with Jey Uso, the humiliation of Jimmy, the control over Solo, and even the threat of The Rock created storytelling at a mythic scale. It was storytelling built around one man's bloodline, and no other character can pick up that narrative baton once Roman steps away. The lineage ends with him in terms of narrative importance. WWE will continue to reference the Anoa'i family, but Roman made it mainstream again. When he's gone, the next generation may appear in segments or matches, but they won't carry the gravity Roman did. His family ties weren't just a background detail, they were the main event. That type of legacy booking only worked because Roman had both the charisma and the narrative infrastructure to hold it all together. Nobody else on the roster has that level of deep-rooted history and main event synergy. He closed the chapter on legacy-driven dominance. Roman Reigns' Universal Championship reign became one of the most significant feats in modern professional wrestling, not just because of how long it lasted, but because of how it was treated. It wasn't just a title run, it was a statement. WWE booked Roman as someone beyond the belt. The title was no longer a prize to be won, it was an artifact of power in Roman's empire. Everyone who challenged him didn't just want to win a match, they wanted to dethrone a god. The last time WWE invested in such a long-term story involving a title was perhaps with Bruno Sammartino or Hulk Hogan, but Roman's reign was different. It unfolded in a time of weekly television, social media, and audience fatigue, yet he remained relevant and compelling throughout. WWE sacrificed short-term ratings and crowd satisfaction to protect Roman's aura. Matches were often predictable, but the drama wasn't in the result, it was in how long WWE could maintain this level of invincibility without collapsing under its own weight. That's a risk the company will likely never take again. In today's wrestling landscape, title reigns are usually transitional. Even dominant champions like Gunther, Bianca Belair, or Seth Rollins eventually drop the belt without losing credibility. But Roman's reign was different. It defined an era, reshaped how fans viewed dominance, and turned every title defense into an event. That kind of booking simply isn't sustainable for anyone else. The risk of audience apathy is too high. The modern WWE system now favors frequent changes, fan service, and surprise wins. No one will ever get the creative license to dominate at Roman's level again. His reign was the final mythic title run, crossover appeal in a fragmented era. Roman Reigns is also the last WWE superstar with true crossover potential in an age where global attention is fragmented. In previous decades, names like Hogan, Austin, Rock, and Cena broke through into pop culture because they existed in a media landscape with fewer channels and more mainstream gatekeepers. Roman emerged in a vastly different world, one where attention is divided between hundreds of apps, platforms, and subcultures. Despite that, he still became a household name. Roman's appearance in Hollywood films, talk shows, ESPN features, commercials, and even viral social media moments was organic. He wasn't overexposed, nor was he forcefully pushed into irrelevant markets. He emerged as a credible face of WWE, one who could appeal to casual viewers without alienating hardcore fans. That balance is incredibly rare today. Most stars are either too niche or too transparent in their push. Roman walked the tightrope of authenticity and marketability like few before him. More importantly, he represented WWE in a dignified, serious manner. While others embraced goofier gimmicks or relied on comedy, Roman brought weight and realism to everything he did. He was never meme material. He was aspirational. WWE now focuses on social media reach, quirky personality traits, and Twitter trends to elevate talent. Roman, by contrast, existed above all of that. His presence demanded attention, not just from wrestling fans, but from outside audiences who still associated WWE with a singular, commanding figure. Going forward, WWE may produce stars who trend online or generate strong merchandise numbers, but they'll lack the gravitas to transcend the ring. Roman proved that it's still possible to break into the cultural conversation without sacrificing character integrity. That's a blueprint that may never be repeated again because the environment that made it possible no longer exists. Closing the chapter on megastar-driven eras. Every generation of WWE had its centerpiece. Hogan in the 80s, Austin and Rock in the 90s, Cena in the 2000s, and Roman in the 2020s. Each was not only the top star but the very identity of WWE at the time. Their images were used for branding, their catchphrases for merchandise, and their feuds defined the pay-per-view calendar. Roman is likely the last to hold that level of control over the WWE landscape. Modern WWE, especially under Triple H's creative regime, is moving toward an ensemble model. There are more titles, more TV time divided among factions and divisions, and more reliance on the collective than the individual. While it makes for strong weekly programming and deeper rosters, it reduces the possibility of one singular force dominating the conversation. Reigns benefited from being the final product of the one-man era, where one person's story carried an entire company. Today, that weight is spread too evenly. Moreover, the pressure on top stars now includes social media accessibility, brand collaborations, press conferences, and fan engagement. Roman thrived in part because he remained distant, controlled, and mysterious. He didn't do Twitch streams or overly transparent interviews. The WWE allowed him to remain a character, not a content creator. That distinction is vital and dying. The future of WWE stars looks more like Logan Paul than The Undertaker. Roman was the last to hold on to the magic of mystery. This isn't to say WWE is worse without megastars, but it's a different philosophy. Fans now follow brands and factions more than singular icons. Storylines are interconnected and balanced to avoid making anyone too dominant. Roman Reigns is the last of his kind because WWE no longer wants one star to represent the entire company. It wants a rotating cast of strong characters. Reigns marked the end of an era that had lasted decades, the character depth that modern booking won't allow again. Roman Reigns' character evolution from bland babyface to calculating tyrant was not just a career shift, it was a generational transformation. WWE gave him the creative space to undergo one of the most nuanced and sustained character arcs in wrestling history. His shift into the tribal chief wasn't just a heel turn, it was a complete restructuring of how fans viewed dominance, family, and morality in wrestling. Roman wasn't the villain you booed, he was the authority you feared. Every movement, line, and silence was calculated. His quiet moments said more than 10-minute monologues from others. Modern WWE booking doesn't encourage this kind of slow burn transformation anymore. Characters are rebooted overnight, alignments shift with little buildup, and fan reaction often dictates narrative changes prematurely. The company no longer allows multi-year arcs centered around emotional subtlety or delayed gratification. Roman was given the time and creative license to develop a layered persona, one who gaslit, manipulated, led, and mourned. His interactions with Jay, Jimmy, Paul Heyman, and even Sami Zayn showed emotional complexity rarely seen in the current product. No other star will be given that much room to grow because the current era is built on short attention spans and episodic storytelling. WWE favors short-term engagement, social clips, viral segments, and fast payoffs. Roman was the last character to be built like a cinematic drama, and the storytelling structure required to replicate that is no longer prioritized. The intricacies of Reigns' persona were not a result of reactionary booking. They were intentional. That kind of depth across so many years with that level of consistency is unlikely to be replicated. Symbol of WWE's creative control era. Roman Reigns symbolizes the end of an era where WWE dictated everything about a top star, from their look and music to their promos and trajectory. He was the final product of WWE's tightly controlled creative infrastructure. From his vest, theme song, and promo structure to the management of his schedule and opponents, everything was calculated. This was before talent had more say in character development, merchandise strategy, or in-ring style. Roman came from the era when the company made stars, not just promoted them. Today's stars, whether it's LA Knight, Gunther, or Braun Breaker, are given more freedom to develop organically or reflect audience feedback. Roman was part of the last class of stars who had to fit the mold first before breaking out. Even in the face of audience backlash during his early years, WWE stuck to its script. This stubbornness eventually paid off when the Tribal Chief character aligned perfectly with what the company had been building toward for years. In that sense, Roman is the proof of concept for WWE's top-down control, and also the last beneficiary of it. As WWE moves toward a more collaborative model, top stars will no longer be purely manufactured. While this gives rise to more variety and authenticity, it also means that the aura of being untouchable and chosen disappears. Roman was a product of WWE's control, molded into a champion the company could rely on across every demographic and media form. Future stars will rise, but they won't feel as curated or timeless. Roman Reigns closes the book on the company man in its purest form.